This video is in response to a question that one of our Sangha members asked, and it is, what might one expect to accomplish, to get out of the retreat? And I think, I'm hoping that each of you, in your own way, gains maybe a different or deeper sense of awareness of self, how you relate as yourself to your environment, maybe some weaknesses or some areas for improvement or some awarenesses that come about. I'm also hoping that perhaps you may gain some insight into a different way or a deeper way in which you can engage your daily life from a more Buddhist perspective, perhaps, more Lotus Sutra based perspective. Perhaps you already have a challenge that you're engaged in this process of living the Lotus Sutra. I'm hoping that you will feel comfortable enough to share that with other people on the retreat, as they may be able to offer insight. And I hope that that insight is not just an insight that comes from an external source. I'm really hoping that we can learn to answer our own questions. Brene Brown, author and writer whom I respect and like, so much of what she writes, talks about 3 questions. And we'll be talking about that in more detail. But if you think about questions and being vulnerable to asking a question, asking for help, it's not easy always to ask for help and to be open to the response. It's not easy to receive the response all the time. In fact, many people complain that, well, you asked for help and then you didn't do it, or you ignored it. Why did you ask? I'm sure each of us have heard that expression, or maybe we've expressed it ourselves. But truly asking a question, being prepared for the answer, not necessarily the answer you're prepared for, but being prepared to receive an answer and be open to working with that answer. Not that the answer is correct, but truly examining the possibilities that it may open up for you. Being vulnerable to asking for help, and being vulnerable to listening, and being vulnerable to be willing to try and consider something that you may or may not have considered previously. Being vulnerable to ask a question and to respond to others' questions. Sometimes people ask a question that isn't really a question at all. It's more of a roundabout way to fix somebody. And I'm hoping that we can suspend the need to fix each other. It's hard to do, but I'm hoping that we can allow people to fix themselves and go on a journey with each other as we each find our own personal fixes. A solution that you develop from within yourself, an awareness that you come to from within yourself, through yourself, by yourself, is an awareness or solution which will have a greater likelihood of being remembered, being acted upon, being meaningful, all of those things, than someone or a fix that comes from outside. You may or may not be moved by something that comes from external sources. You have been definitely moved when that thing comes from within you. It's already had its effect. And it will continue if you listen. So I'm hoping that maybe we might be able to experience some of that. Some of us, maybe all of us, maybe none. These are just possibilities. As we're putting together the theme, which I will announce, and I'm just doing research on page numbers through various translations so that whichever translation of the Lotus Sutra you have, you will be able to find the appropriate passage. It's a real short passage. Just like last year, there's just 2 short passages. Could be read in 5 minutes or less. But oh, so deep. And so much potential. Also this year, there's a lot of stuff going on in our society. A lot of unhappiness, a lot of suffering, a lot of killing. How do we be in that? How do we exist in that? It's very stressful, frightening even, discouraging. And how do we maintain? How do we keep our own sanity? How do we keep our own encouragement? Is it possible for each of us or any of us to be a beacon, perhaps, a light when we go out? Maybe you already are. And maybe, the light's a little dim. I don't know. Again, these are possibilities. I hope we are creating opportunities for those possibilities. That's what I'm hoping you walk away with, is an experience of possibilities and opportunities. You can take out of it what you want. A lot of it will be up to you. It's not, there's a structure to the retreat, but there's not a requirement for much other than that you participate. And you can participate shallowly, or with no depth, whatever, or you can participate deeply. And you can participate deeply even if you're only able to actually be present for a few of the activities. The social interactions via Periscope are so critical, more so than anything that you may choose to write on Facebook. Please feel free to write. But the Periscope videos are connecting and revealing in a way that text just isn't. And I'm a person that really doesn't like videos that much. I don't watch them. I prefer reading, and I prefer writing. But the videos connect in a way that, well, these videos, you get to see a part of me that you would not experience by reading my books. So that's what I'm hoping you get out of this. There will be opportunities to talk about how can we engage in constructive conversations in painful places and about painful subjects. Not necessarily about finding the answers to the questions of society, but how do we do it? How can you do it? What is your strength that you can bring to others that maybe none of us is able to bring? We each have a part in this conversation, and we each have an important contribution to make. And we'll talk about such things as oneness of self and environment, oneness of body and mind. Bishop Myoke and I were talking last night about the impact or the changes that take place in DNA because of trauma and stress. We already know that nerve and brain change due to constant pain. The effect of pain makes physiological changes in the brain. There's been evidence to support that traumatized groups, such as during the Holocaust, have experienced change in their DNA, their chromosome makeup. Buddhism has been saying that for centuries. So another case where science is catching up to Buddhism. We thought about that. When we think about that, when we think about what's going on in society, maybe not just about Black Lives Matter, but in France where terrorists blowing up things and killing people. I was there last year. Very moving, going around to the various locations where people have been killed. Still, when I think about it, it's very sad. I guess you could say, first exposure to a civilian-related mass killing. Very touching, very moving. I was changed. Now the depth of my change is nothing compared to the depth of people who live with it every day. We'll talk about that. How have you been affected in ways that you may not even be aware of? So again, I'm just trying to outline some of the areas in which you may deepen your self-awareness and deepen your faith and practice through the structure of the retreat. You'll learn some ichichimomo, something that few people are able to experience in the United States just because of availability of teachers. We'll be doing ichichimomo with Myoke, Bishop Myoke. Shodaigyo, a wonderful practice for this age, especially for those people who may come to us and say, well, you don't practice meditation, but we do. Our form of meditation, and there are countless ways in which we can engage in meditation. I will be teaching Shakyo, a writing meditation. So there'll be those things that you will learn, experience, and ways in which to strategically be a Buddhist in the environment in which you live in. So I hope that you will consider joining with us in a couple of weeks as we have our second Urban Dharma retreat. Thank you.